So I thank goodness that Jerry persisted and was tough with me, because now he sends me over there every month. So that principle really is, if you look after your business will always look after you. And it's not always easy to focus on that when you start the business broke, as we did. You know, you hear people say, well, money isn't everything. And while that's true, it certainly does help. You know, and given the chance, I'd always opt for more than less. And I think the truth is that money isn't everything if you have it. Because I remember when we started off in the business, how most of my time was consumed with worrying about money. You know, how we were going to pay this, how we were going to pay that. I'd get a sick feeling in my stomach when those letters from the bank manager came, and when those brown envelopes came through the door at the end of the month. We were always juggling money from one account to another, stretching it and doing without. And one of the beauties today is that I never have to worry about money. I don't even think about it. You know, I just know it's there. And that sick feeling in the bottom of my stomach, that went a few years ago. You know, money isn't everything. No, it isn't everything. But it gives you little freedoms. You know, it gives me the freedom not to have to work. You know, I was able to give up my job about 18 months ago now. It gives me the freedom not to have to clean the house or do the ironing. I have someone who comes in and helps me with that. It gives us the freedom to travel. Last year we had 2 holidays. This year we've had 3. 2 of those were free. The company sent us away. Next year we already have 2 planned. So that's exciting, because that was one of my dreams, was to travel. But more important than this, more important than any of that, is the peace of mind that the business has brought, knowing that everything is paid for and everything is taken care of. And that really struck me last month. This last month was quite an eventful month. Several things went wrong. The first thing that happened was that the iron broke down, so that needed replacing. Second thing was the central heating broke down. Well, that definitely had to be fixed straight away. The next thing was that the exhaust fell off the Citroen. Then the brakes failed on the Citroen. And then the gearbox went on the BMW. And that alone cost £1,300 to replace. Now, before the business, those sort of unnecessary expenses would have crippled us. You know, we just wouldn't have been able to cope with those. We did not have any sort of way of handling those sort of things. You know, and because we built the business, it's just given us the ability to write out the checks, pay them, shrug it off and move on. And that to me means a lot. It really does. Just in closing, I'd like to say, you know, having said all that and talked about money a bit, I'd just like to point out that, you know, as we built the business and the business has taken care of our money problems, I've realized that money is not the main benefit from this business. You know, it's nice. It's there, and it's a tool, and it's a tool to be used. And if you haven't got it, you certainly can't give it. But it's not the main thing. You know, it's exciting to move on. Yes, it's exciting to be here on the stage as a pearl. But the greatest thing is that this business is so different. It's unique in the fact that it involves people, and it's just impossible to succeed on your own. You know, we're not moving. We know where we're going. We know our dreams are going to be fulfilled. But the most important thing to me is that we know we're not moving on our own. That there's a whole lot of people coming with us. Next week we're going to Malta. The company is sending us to Malta on a free holiday, and Jerry and I aren't going alone. We're going with Pat and Greta and some of your directs. Next year we have a holiday in Spain planned for the directs, and you're all invited to come. Now you hear that phrase, I'll see you on the beaches, and I used to think, oh yeah, you know, it just seems so far away. It's true now. You know, we do walk the beaches with our friends, and that's what makes the business so special to me. You know, because before the business, we could count the number of friends we had on one hand. Because of the business today, we have hundreds of real friends. And the wealth of friendships we have with the people in this room, and the special relationships that we have with the directs and with Pat and Greta, they can't be replaced by all the money in the world. Now I know Jerry has a few more things to add, so I'd like you to welcome the person I believe to be the best teacher and the biggest giver in this business. That's my husband, Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I just want to leave a few thoughts. About 3 hours of thoughts. Well, as Mandy said, when we started off in this business, we weren't exactly wealthy when we started in the UK. The first thing we did was we sold our caravanette. We couldn't afford to keep it going any longer. And we were consuming our life savings every time we filled the tank. So we bought an MG-BGT. Now that's the legendary one you probably heard from the plan. Okay, now this is the car that had body cancer. Now you're wondering what body cancer is. That is not rust. That is when rust has been and gone and there are just holes left. This car, everywhere we go, if we went more than 10 miles an hour, we got engulfed with freezing air. Now we were broke, but for a year we travelled around with a quilt wrapped around our legs. And it was exciting. It was exciting going to places like Wales or Exeter or London and go out and share an opportunity to people. We'd stand there, we'd tell them, listen, you do this, you do that, you do this, and you'd be rich. Okay, then we said, now can the keen committed one stay and help us push start the car? Okay. But you see, the thing is, it's funny, isn't it? But that would hang up so many people. That would worry so many people. So many people say, oh, we couldn't do it, look at us. We never bothered what anybody thought because we knew it was all temporary and we knew where we were going. Okay? When we were giving advice to people, it didn't bother me that every single one of them had more than we had. It didn't bother me. What I knew is what we were telling them wasn't our theory, but we're passing on advice that's based on principles we've been taught by the millionaires in this business. And we knew, even if we couldn't be confident of our own advice, that they were right. Now, I'm not saying it was all plain sailing from the early days. You know, there were times when it seemed like every single thing we did went wrong. There were months everything went wrong. There were even months when we grew in reverse. And of course, there were times when doubt set in. And there are times when that little voice is saying, do you really think you can do it? Are you really destined to succeed in this business? But you see, whenever that happened, we did a couple of things, and a couple of thoughts went through our mind. I remember one thought that someone said that really hit home. Okay, and I recommend you listen to this and you take this thought on board. If you don't change your direction, you'll end up where you're heading. Now that scared me enough to make me stay in this business. Because I thought, if I don't change my direction, i.e. if I don't just change relying on a job income, then I'm going to get the rewards that go with it. And I looked around. I don't know about you, but I saw everyone who worked in that kind of system got an average lifestyle. That scared me enough. I didn't want that. I was prepared to work hard to avoid having that. Another saying that I remembered was, the price of success cannot be negotiated, but it is less than the price of failure. Now, what did that mean? Well, that meant I couldn't quibble. Oh, poor me. Isn't it hard? Why aren't we growing as fast as the other people? Isn't it sad? Okay, that wasn't going to get us anywhere. I had to just get on and pay the price. Whatever it is, our price is going to be different from everyone else's prices because we all and everyone in this room has got their own unique circumstances to overcome. So we couldn't quibble with the price. But if we got on with it and paid the price, then we could get over with and start enjoying the benefits. The alternative to paying the price now was to paying it little by little, every week, week by week, every month, month by month, every single year for the rest of our life, and never get the benefits. We decided, once and for all, that we'd rather live with a temporary inconvenience now than live with regret for the rest of our lives. We decided to get on and do it. Any time Every time that we seem to come up against a brick wall, instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, instead of burying ourselves in television, we just read more books, listened to more tapes, and focused on our minds on the rewards we get rather than our problems. Anyone can do that. A turning point for us was a visit to the state. You look really depressed. I got to cheer you up a little bit. I'll tell you some good news. A turning point was a visit to the States. We went to a function called the Heart Ice Dream Weekend. We flew across there. No, I'm not going to tell you about that. I'll tell you about that in a minute. I just remembered something, actually, when Mandy was talking about how we started. You know, remember the early plans we did? I remember the flat. They say, we weren't broke, but we didn't have our own place. We had a rented place, and we couldn't afford to share it. We couldn't afford to live on our own. We had to share. I remember we used to share this flat with two really negative people. It was my lifetime goal to get to the phone before them. Because I can guarantee if I got to the phone, they go, hello! And someone would say something like, oh, it's Jerry, and he goes, and put the phone down. I mean, if you analyse it, that isn't conducive to a good relationship with your distributors. I mean, they thought that was me. Anyway, yeah, a turning point was a visit to the States. We went to a function they called the Heart Ice Dream Weekend. Okay, now that function was tailor-made for us. Everything we needed to hear was said. It was brilliant. That weekend, or that week, was also extremely important for us because it's when we got to know Bill and Les O'Brien. They helped us put together a system that would make this business flourish. It was also an eventful weekend because that's when we first really got to know Pat and Greta. When we came back, we started building this business in the UK as a team. Okay, that's very important to have the moral support of someone doing what you're doing. We had a friend, and we started building it as a team, putting together a system that would work, that would make this business a fast-growing, viable, solid business for anyone who did it. It was like finding our way after having walked in the wilderness for 2 years without any significant leadership. Okay, we were very fortunate to have that relationship with Bill and Les O'Brien. It's one that we will never take for granted. And you've inherited that system, the books, the tapes, and the functions. It's all a system that Bill set up to make it easier for you to build a business. Now, you can ignore it, but if you want that success to rub off on you, if you want to be walking across the stage in one direct, I'd recommend you take note of that system and follow it. Anyway, maybe straying off the point. We've had help from Dexter and Bertie Yeager, Fred and Linda Hartice, Jerry and Polly Hartice, Bill and Les O'Brien, all of whom have come across and helped our business. It's been since then, and with that help, that the business has taken off. And there's been fun times along the way. I remember some of the meetings. You see, you're going through it right now, and you're going through the early stages. I was saying to someone on the other phone, who was it? Was it Bob? I don't know. I was saying to someone the other night on the phone, I said, write down what happened. Because, some of the crazy things that right now you're thinking, oh, I don't believe it. That the old lady sitting there with her cigar, sitting there in her training shoes and jumping up and shouting down obscenities. I mean, that may be something that's tough to go through right now, but in the future you'll be telling people about it and you'll eat off that. But I remember meetings that we did. I remember the meeting I did in Weston-super-Mare. It was a long time ago. It's an old story. But I remember a meeting I did when standing up at the board, when I got to the 3% check, I had my leg molested by a Scotty dog. I remember the meeting that I did in Jersey, when I thought I got their attention, this budgie flew in. I started walking up and down the floor. Now, that would have been bad enough, but the budgie had a wooden leg. So it sort of distracted everyone a little bit. And I remember one of the funniest experiences when Pat and Greta had recently gone direct, when we had Pat do an open meeting for us. Now, we didn't think twice. We scheduled the meeting on November the 5th. Okay, now we'd forgotten that was Guy Fawkes Day. The worst thing was, what we didn't realise, the biggest firework display in Bristol was held at the same hotel as the open meeting. In fact, the centre of the display was directly outside the window of the room where the meeting was being held. Everything was going okay. 8:30, Pat was going along, the board was set up, Pat was motoring through the plan, and at 8:30, World War III erupted outside. And you should have seen, the sky was lit up, cascading gems are falling from the heavens. There were thunder cracks and the oohs and ahs of 1,000 people. And there was Pat there scoring points and trying to regain everyone's attention. You see, and I watched that. I watched an example of someone pressing on relentlessly. Having seen that example of dogged determination, I knew one thing that we'd always known all along, is that Pat and Greta will be diamonds, whatever it takes. come hell, high water, fireworks. We've always had a lot of fun building the business. I know some of the people that are new in the business, you're sitting there thinking, how can a business be fun? But I guarantee it is. As Mandy said, we'll have had 3 holidays this year. 2 are paid for. I tell you what's nice. It's nice going out on an expensive meal and having the company pay for it. So, you know, that expensive food doesn't leave a nasty aftertaste in your mouth if you're not picking up the bill. And it's fun there going with your friends. And we're totally for real when I say to you, we want you there. Because we want to sit down with you. We want to know you better. We want to get to know you on these holidays. We know those of you that want it bad enough will be there. It's exciting to see the security we can develop. Mandy's got a totally secure income. If anything happened to me, Mandy would be totally taken care of. We've got an ongoing increased income, regardless of whether I'm there. If I was relying on a job income and something happened to me, all Mandy could be sure of was a month's pay, a bunch of flowers, and sympathy. But you can't eat sympathy. Money isn't everything, you'll hear people say, and usually those that don't have much say it more than others. And they're right. But it's nice to have an additional income. It does give you that little bit of flexibility. You see, I found out that if you don't have that, you're relying on people in the form of an employer whose prime interest isn't you and the well-being of your family. Now, that may not be important to you, but it's a very individual thing. But I don't like being manipulated and controlled through the wage packet. And if you don't like it, here's your chance to do something about it. Sometimes people don't understand the business. They look at that person who's been in the business for a month or 2 months and they ask how much money they're making out of it. It's an irrelevant point. You see, they don't understand the difference between permanent and temporary income. You see, I earned more out of being a van driver in my first year than I did out of this business. What does that mean? Does that mean that van driving pays better? No, because I only earned it once. That first year paid us this year. It paid us the year after we earned it, the year after that, the year after that, and the year 2000 we'll still earn income off what we did in that first year in the business. You see, my temporary effort in my job today brings me temporary rewards. But never again. If I want more rewards, I've got to put more effort. My temporary effort in this business brings permanent rewards. Work, not paid now, but work invested now in the business will pay me today, tomorrow, in the year 2000, or when we're gone, it'll be looking after our children. Now, you know, standing here today and so like being put a little bit on a pedestal, I want to make one thing clear. We, by no stretch of the imagination, think we've arrived, or we know we haven't come anywhere close to what we can do with this business. In our eyes, we're just beginning. Okay. But I want to make one thing clear. For the rewards we've got out of the business so far, not to mention what's to come, if we had to pay 5 times the price to get half the rewards, we'd do it again. Okay, we're really excited about our futures. We're really excited about your futures. We're really excited about this business. We know it's a viable opportunity. We know it's our chance and your chance to do something great. And what we want more than anything else is in the following months to be sitting down in those seats and hearing your stories. Go build it.